Felt like we played hard, played a physical game, and just really didn't find a way in the end to finish. We had plenty of opportunities. Very hard-fought game, as we knew it was going to be. Divisional opponent. But as we watched the tape today, made the corrections, emphasized the things that we got to correct, build on the things that we did well, and get ready for a real tough football game this week against Cincinnati. And with that, I'll take your questions.
You go back to yesterday when the DJ penalty was called and you pulled the helmet off. What conversation you had with officials, and what was the explanation for? Because I think he was out of the field to play when he pulled it off, but he did come back in with it off. So, what was your understanding of the rule and how it was called?
Well, I know there were some things that came out this morning about the actual call itself, and one thing that I'm not going to do, and we're not going to do here, is try to officiate the game. You know, they made that decision, they made the call, and we're going to move forward with that. And we just can't put ourselves in that situation to even make that even a judgment call.
That said, Steve, I mean, is there any clarification on the rule? Because it says field of play end zone. Is that considered part of the end?
To be quite honest, I haven't really even looked into it, you know. And again, our thought process is we put this game to bed, and we're looking forward to trying to prepare and get ready for Cincinnati.
Steve, where are you with Eddy? Is he going to be the kicker?
Eddy is still a part of our team, a major part of what we're trying to get done. And as I mentioned yesterday, in all three phases, we could have done better. You know, if you ask Eddy, he definitely wanted to make those kicks as well as we all wanted him to. So one guy did not lose this football game.
After being so successful on third down previous week defensively, I think Atlanta was 50% on third down and then gave up some huge chunk plays. What was it defensively that the Panthers, that you guys weren't able to?
Well, I mean, it's very simple, just execution. I know that's a cliche, but we got to execute. You know, we got to detail our work. A lot of what we saw on tape, you know, a lot of inside breaking routes. We lost leverage on a couple of things inside, giving the easy throw. And then, you know, we got to create pressure up front and get to the quarterback. We knew Mariota was a scrambling quarterback. He's going to buy time with his feet. We got to do a great job on the back end for his plastering, which means get tight to your coverage when he starts to scramble. And a lot of times we lost coverage, which we can't do.
Steve, just to be perfectly clear, no plans to bring in kickers, and Eddy will be the kicker?
Right now we have no plans of bringing in any kicker right now, no.
There was a report earlier about our running back Cameron Harris working out with the team. Obviously, does that have anything to do with possibly Chuba missing any additional time?
I'm not going to elaborate on any workouts in regards to Chuba. I think he's going to be fine this week. He's working back. As I expressed last week, he felt like he could have gone, but from a medical staff standpoint, we just wanted to make sure we gave him an extra week.
With the deadline tomorrow, have you and Scott talked about making any moves whatsoever?
Nothing has really come up as of right now. I mean, there's always things that could, you know, come up at the last second because we're constantly trying to position ourselves, you know, with the best roster that we can come up with. So,
Do you are any concern for you trying to win games that yesterday's result might change the thinking of the front office as the deadline gets here?
You know, Joe, I said from day one that I'm not really putting the focus on me whatsoever. So it's about this team. It's about the men in that locker room. It's about our mantra that we talk about each and every day, which is win the day. And I didn't really look at it in regards to my fate at the end of the year whatsoever. We got to find a way to finish and win football games, and that's our mindset this week.
Yeah, never mind your deal, but winning games, as you just said, do you think yesterday will change the approach?
I can't really, you know, answer anything for Tepper, you know, Mr. Tepper and Scott. So that will be a question for them.
PJ struggled a bit in the first half, then threw that pick six or threw that interception going into halftime, and then came out and played pretty well in the second half. What did you see from him, and do you plan on having him be the starter this week at Cincinnati?
You know, we got off to a rough start. I think PJ would tell you that. He settled in the second half, as you mentioned. The interception at halftime, a lot of people are going to put it on PJ. Had a lot to do with how we played it up front with the tackle. Had a lot to do with how the running back didn't get out properly, correct, trying to set it up. And the guy was just standing there, which we should have pushed him up the field, which we did not. So we threw an interception. We were trying to be aggressive, try to get something, which we really had a play if we could have gotten it out there. In regards to the second half, I thought he settled in quite a bit. Was making some key throws. Accuracy was there. I thought the receivers did a great job. You look at Terrence, great catch coming across the middle, great hole shot. And then once again, you look at Sullivan. He made a good catch coming across the middle of the field. So when you look at those guys, I'm very pleased of how they're progressing. Again, a young guy like Terrace, I thought he'd just keep progressing each and every week.
And PJ is going to be the starter going forward?
Yes, PJ will be the starter next week.
Steve, do you have an idea? Sam's getting pretty close to that 21-day window. Do you expect him to be activated to the roster this week?
We'll have to wait and see. Again, he's still in that window. I think he's progressing and doing well. My take is to evaluate him from a standpoint of the medical staff as well as what the offensive coaches are giving me for his feedback.
Coach, have you ever seen a touchdown throw travel as far as B.J. Walker's did in the air?
You've seen Aaron Rodgers throw quite a few of those, but I thought PJ did a great job buying time, getting outside the pocket. I thought DJ, tremendous job in really trying to split the defense and track the ball. So it was a great throw-in catch. Again, just didn't like the end result.
Steve, how much more trust do you have in PJ right now than you might have 3 weeks ago? I mean, specifically thinking about that Rams game plan, and there weren't a lot of shots downfield.
Well, I think anything in life is all about time, and we've seen over the last couple of weeks that, with him putting the time in, with us as coaches giving him the opportunity to be able to perform, as you just said, with the game plan, he's shown that he can handle certain things, so I'm very pleased.
Steve, Marcus Mariota had about a 30-yard run to set up the eventual game-winning kick. Now that you've watched the tape, what happened on that play that he was able to break free?
We had a perfect call, and we just didn't execute. We had Burns and Xavier at the point of attack, and one should have come underneath. The other one had the quarterback, and we had both guys go too high on that play. So, again, it's the attention to details for us. That's what we emphasized and talked about today, because we had plenty of opportunities right there to win the game, get off the field. They were punting, and who knows what would happen once we got the ball back. So what I like is the responsibility and the accountability that those guys have taken in that meeting room, saying that we got to correct this.
Steve, once Sam has activated the 53-man roster, you're going to have 3 quarterbacks, 2 guys who are picked in the top 3 of the draft. You got PJ. With PJ's to start, is that going to be a tricky situation for you with those 3 guys, and how do you handle that moving forward?
Well, the one thing I don't want to do right now is really get into hypotheticals. So I'm going to wait and see exactly what happens at that time, and my decision will be the best decision for this team.
After watching the tape, how would you assess C.J. Henderson's play yesterday?
I thought he played well. I thought we had some difficulties early in the year turning around, making plays on the ball and getting PIs, and you saw that critical play that he made down the field with the PBU. Great interception. They tried to test us deep quite a bit yesterday. So I thought overall he had a pretty good game. And, it's probably one play he'd love to take back, but for the most part, it was a pretty good game.
Speaking of what I think is that one play, can you explain what happened there on the 47-yard touchdown? CJ looked like he had off coverage, and then the tackling after that.
Well, what happened was, as I just explained, they had been going deep on us quite a bit, and his mindset, he was trying to play over the top, and then Bird set it down on him. So there was a lot of separation there, but he got to be able to close back to the hip. And the quarterback had a little bit of time, as we talked about all week. He's going to be able to scramble a little bit. And he bought time, and we got a plaster, and he didn't finish the way he wanted to. So that would be the one that I say he would probably want back.
And then when you put that play on the screen as a team, what are you what is your message to the other defenders on the field after the catch?
Well, it's not so much to the defenders, it's really to the whole team. And we talk about our DNA, physicality, effort, playing smarter, but most importantly, finishing. And that's not a finished product for us. So that was the message there.
Would it, as Dante goes out and kind of continues to aggravate that ankle, would it behoove you to give him a week or two to get it right?
I think we sort of managed Dante well, and I appreciate you looking out for Dante, Joe. I would let him know that you're really in his corner. But we managed Dante well, and we give him certain plays off throughout practice with certain reps. And as the season goes on, I've already talked to the staff as I talk about trying to minimize the volume and maximize the execution, which is really taking plays back, possibly taking the pads off with this week with a quick turnaround the following week on a Thursday night. So there's things that I got to think about ahead of time. But we have talked about certain vets getting vet days.
Can you talk about the impact that PJ's had on Terrace and getting him involved in this?
I think him and Terrace have created a good chemistry. I think Terrace has built a lot of trust in PJ. And I think really Terrace has, when you look at how he's practiced, he goes at a high level, which translates into the game. So he's definitely someone that I called out in the meeting. I talked to the coaches about as well upstairs, that here's a young guy that's progressing, and that's what we got to have. We got to develop our young guys.
Is there a point you noticed that on the practice field, or anything you've seen specifically out there that stands out with that?
Just the way he goes about his day-to-day operation and how he practices. I always say the way you practice, the way you play is going to be how you practice. So he's putting it out there each and every day.
Building off of that, you've mentioned, since you took over as interim coach, just wanting to develop the roster, see those guys progress. Terrace and CJ specifically, but just kind of what's gone into that, and philosophically, how much of a testament is a game like the Atlanta game for them, showing that, we're developing and we're kind of doing what you wanted to do?
Well, I thought it was a step for us as a team, and you mentioned some of the young guys as well. With those two guys building the chemistry that they have, I think it's something just to build on each and every week. I think that between Tommy and Sully, Terrace, I'm thinking about all these guys that are really stepping up in the last couple of weeks, and I think, it's the trust that PJ is building within those guys that you can see the performance on the field.
Going back to PJ's touchdown, what did it mean to see Baker and him have that moment? Because Baker's a strong competitor and wants to be out there as well, but showed really strong support for him.
Well, Baker to me has been the ultimate pro. As a guy who I know personally, being around him and knowing that he is such a competitor, all these guys want to play, and they should. That's their mentality. But he's supported PJ on and off the field, and to see him do what he did, just a testament who he is as a person.
Steve, your offense was able to pick up some really long distance third downs, and I know third downs were a struggle for the offense at the beginning of the year. What was kind of the common thread in executing those, specifically from PJ himself?
Well, I think when you look at the execution in regards to, it's all about timing, okay? And timing starts with the offensive line. And, I love my big guys. And those guys have done a tremendous job, what I call controlling the line of scrimmage in the run game. But most importantly, it was a clean pocket yesterday. We got sacked one time, and it was really more a pickup from the back that we miscued on, and not the offensive line.
Steve, what ways is Foreman impressed you? Has he surprised you at all, like how well he's running and playing?
No, he has not surprised me at all. He's just a big physical back that creates problems as the game goes on, and really having to tackle somebody like that, particularly when he can get to the second and third level. That's not something coaching the position, and our mentality is a little different here. But, those DBs don't want to continue to make that contact and tackle big backs like that.
Has he changed your mindset going forward when Chuba is healthy? Because I know you started Chuba when you had both of them. So what Foreman's going to change that maybe he would be the lead back versus?
No, I think when you go back and look at Tampa, it's still by committee. The thing that you guys look at, or most people's like, only 11 can go out there at one time. So somebody has to go out there first. And then after that, I mean, it's just a constant rotation based off the flow of the game. Could be the play call, you know, and what we're trying to do with certain backs. So we'll see who goes out there first, but they're all going to play.
Steve, how would you describe Derek Brown's output yesterday?
Derek has, in my opinion, you know, I talk about consistency. The last 3 weeks, he's really played at a high level. He's been consistent. You can see his performance and his growth. I said it probably maybe, you know, four weeks ago, just that even in the defensive room, how great he could be as a player. And now you're starting to see that consistency out of him, just really dominating one-on-ones, shedding, making, you know, tackles for loss, collapsing the pocket. So I'm pleased with where he is and excited about where he can go.